Hello folks, I'm Mr. Pinola. Today I'd like to start off by showing you something that I think is pretty cool. Here we have a piece of rabbit's fur and we also have a rubber rod. I'm going to rub the rod with the rabbit's fur. This is going to cause our rubber rod to become negatively charged. You might remember from one of our previous videos that when two objects rub together, charge can be transferred between them, because one object will steal electrons from another. This is called charging by friction. And our rod will steal electrons from the fur, making the fur positive and the rod negative. So let's do that. I'm going to charge my rod and I'll make it negative. And then after I get my rod charged, I'm going to turn on the faucet that's in front of me. I'll show you something neat happening with that. Here's a tiny bit of water coming out of the stream. And notice it now bends towards the rod. Water wouldn't normally do that. It wouldn't normally move towards something, but it moved towards the negatively charged rod, even though the water was neutral. Let's take a look at a similar example to that now. Here in front of you are some bits of paper. I made these using a hole puncher. They're really small circles and very light. I'm going to once again charge my rod with the rabbit's fur. And then I'm going to hover the rod over the bits of paper. And I would like you to watch what happens. Do you see that the bits of paper were attracted to the rod? These bits of paper were not electrically charged before, but now they were attracted to the negatively charged rod. Why was the water, which was neutral, and why were the bits of paper, which were neutral, attracted to a negatively charged rubber rod? The answer is polarization. And we're going to start off today by taking a look at how polarization works. By definition, polarization is the separation of electric charge. Separation, meaning two things are separated, they're far apart. Let's take a look at how that works and see if we can understand the water example that I just showed you in the previous demonstration. In that example, or in that demonstration, we had a negatively charged rubber rod. So I'll draw a rubber rod here. I'll shade it in brown, and I will draw a bunch of little negative charges on the rod. Now, we know that there are positive charges in the rod as well. I haven't added so many negatives that the positives are gone, but there are more negatives than positives, making the rubber rod overall negative. In other words, it has a net negative charge. Then let's draw our water, and I'll draw a stream of water here in blue. And we know that our stream of water also has positive and negative charges. Except the water at first is neutral. It has no net electric charge. And so I'll draw a little 0 to indicate that the water is neutral. Well, when we bring the negatively charged rod nearby, let's focus on the little negatives, the little electrons inside the water. Remember, like charges, or the same charges, will repel. So if I bring negative charges near the water, the negative charges in the water will want to move far away. They will go to the very edge of the water that is very far from the rubber rod. What's left? It looks like the left side of our stream of water is positively charged, and the right side of our stream of water is negatively charged. So, instead of saying, even though the stream of water is still overall neutral, the left side of the water is positive, and the rod, which is still here, is negative. What do opposite charges do? That's right, they attract. And so the negatively charged rod will attract the positively charged left side of the stream of water. Even though the water is still neutral, it has been polarized, and the left side of it is positive, the right side of it is negative. Remember our definition for polarization. It's the separation of electric charge. And we have done just that, causing us to make the part closer to the rod positive, and thus allowing there to be some attraction and bending of water. The same thing happened when we had these small bits of paper that were punched from the hole puncher. Here, once again, we had a negatively charged rubber rod. So I'll draw a rod, and once again, I'll make some negative charges on it. Again, it's not all negative charges, but there are excess or extra negative charges on the rod. On the piece of paper, there are positive and negative charges as well. So I'll draw them, and I'll kind of mix them up a little bit because they are mixed throughout. But remember, when I bring the negatively charged rod nearby, the negatives in the hole punch paper want to get as far away as they can from the negatives in the rod. And so these negative charges will move to the bottom part of the piece of paper, trying to get as far away from the negative charges in the rod as they can. What does that leave us with? Well, the rod is still negative, but the top part of the hole punch bit, this little piece of paper, is now positive. Overall, the piece of paper is still neutral because it still has an equal number of protons and electrons, but the top part, the part closer to the rod, is positive. And what do opposites do? They attract. And so the negatively charged rod will attract the positively charged paper and vice versa. And as a result, the very light piece of paper will fly up and meet the negatively charged rod. It's not because it was actually charged, it's because it was polarized. We separated the electric charge, causing the top part to appear positive and therefore be attracted to the negatively charged rubber rod. So let's show you this in terms of a computer simulation so you can actually see the charges moving. Here's our negatively charged rod, and here is another object, another electrical conductor, let's say. If I bring the negatively charged rod near the conductor, but not touching, it will cause the negatives within the conductor to move as far away as they can. Notice they cluster towards the right side. Now, before the charged object came near, the left and right side of the conductor each had the same number of positive and negative charges. We can count them up. 8 negatives on the left, 8 positives on the left, so the left side was neutral. 8 negatives and 8 positives on the right side, so the right side is neutral as well. But when I bring the charged rod near, the negatives are pushed to the other side. Now we have 8 positives on the left, but only 5 negatives. This side of the rod is now positively charged. But how about the right side of the rod? It has more negatives than positives. It is negatively charged. Even though this conductor remains overall neutral, the left side is positive and the right side is negative by polarization. So now let's take a look at polarization with another electroscope. This electroscope works a little bit differently than some of the other electroscopes that you've seen. Rather than two leaves that will separate, this electroscope has a little dial in the middle that will spin a bit if it has become charged. So I'm going to take this balloon and I'm going to charge it by friction, by rubbing it against this rabbit's fur. My balloon will now be negative. We're going to charge it up real good. Make sure the balloon steals a lot of electrons from the fur. Then I'm going to put my hand on the top. And with my hand there, I'll move the balloon close. I'll remove my hand. I'll remove the balloon. And the electroscope has become charged. Did the balloon ever touch the electroscope? No. My hand may have touched it, but never the charged balloon. Let's take a look at how polarization played a role in this third method of charging. That is not charging by friction and not charging by contact, but instead our third type. To show you how this works, let's take a look at an online simulation. Notice here we have an electroscope, just like the one that I showed you in class. We have a negatively charged object, just like my negatively charged balloon, and we have somebody's hand. I'm going to do exactly what I did in the demonstration. I'm going to touch the object with my hand. And while my hand is there, I'm going to take the negatively charged rod and move it near, just like I did with the balloon. Watch what happens. Do you see how some of the negatives moved away from the negative rod that I brought nearby? Well, now with the rod still in place, I'm going to remove my hand. And now I'll remove the rod. Notice at this point, the electroscope has become charged. Not because the rod ever touched it, but because the rod was brought near. And due to polarization, we caused the extra electrons to want to leave, thus leaving the rest of the electroscope charged positively and the leaves separating. So last video we talked about two methods of charging. The first of which was charging by friction. In fact, you saw that in this video today as I charged the rubber rod and the balloon both by friction by rubbing them with the rabbit's fur and causing those objects to steal electrons from the fur. The second method is charging by contact. This is perhaps the simplest method. If you touch a neutral object with an already charged object, it will acquire the same charge as the object that touched it. We did that last video with the electroscope, and we touched it with the charged balloon. Finally, we had our third method of charging. And maybe you remembered from the last video that the third method is called charging by induction. And that is what I just showed you. You can charge something by induction without ever actually touching it with the object that is carrying charge. All you have to do is polarize the object and then pull some of the extra charges away. I did that using my hand. That left an overall charge on the object, even though it was never touched by the charged balloon itself. Charging by induction is a great way to charge something without actually making contact, very much unlike charging by contact and charging by friction. So I hope you learned today a bit about how polarization works. Remember, polarization is when we separate the charges by bringing a charged object nearby. And if you know how to polarize something well, you might be able to charge a neutral object through the use of induction, which is when you would get those extra charges to leave, therefore leaving the remainder of the object charged, even though it was never actually touched by a charged object itself. Keep polarization and charging by induction in mind when you think about ways to give something an electric charge. Thanks for watching.